Ladies and gentlemen, the US is going to change how it categorizes people by race and ethnicity. And they said this change is the first time in 27 years. So let's get into it. For the first time in 27 years, the US government is changing how it categorizes people by race and ethnicity, an effort that the federal government officials believe will be more accurately counted residents who identify as Hispanic and of Middle Eastern and Northern Africa heritage. Mhm. The revisions is to the minimum categories on race and ethnicity announced Thursday by the Office of Management and Budget are the latest effort to label and define people of the United States. This evolving process often reflects changes in social attitudes and immigration, as well as a wish for people in an increasingly diverse society to see themselves in the numbers produced by the federal government. You can't underestimate the emotional impact this has on people. And you are seeing a desire for people who want to self identify and be reflected in data so that they can tell their own stories. Under the revision, questions about race and ethnicity that previously were asked on separate forms will be combined on a single question that will give respondents the option to pick multiple categories at the same time, such as Black, American Indian, and Hispanic. Research has shown that large numbers of Hispanic people aren't sure how to answer the race question when the question is separately asked because they said they understand race and ethnicity to be similar and they often pick some other race and do not answer the question. A Middle Eastern and North African category will be added to the choices available for questions about race and ethnicity. People descend from places such as Lebanon, Iran, Egypt, and Syria have been encouraged to identify as white, but now will have the option of identifying themselves in the new group. Results from the 2020 census, which they said respondents were told to elaborate on their backgrounds and suggested that 3.5 million respondents identified that they came from the Middle East or North Africa. It feels good to be seen, a Florida rep said, a Democrat from Orlando whose parents are from Iran. Growing up, my family would check white because we didn't know what other box reflected our family. Having representation like that, it feels meaningful. The changes also strike from the federal forms, the word Negro. So they're taking the word Negro off of the form and Far East. Negro and Far East will be removed from federal forms. Now widely regarded as well as terms majority and minority because they fail to reflect the nation's complex racial and ethnic diversity, some officials say. The revision also encouraged the collection of detailed race and ethnicity data beyond the minimum standards, such as Haitian or Jamaican, for someone who checks Black. Grouping together people of different backgrounds into a single race and ethnicity category, such as Japanese and Filipino in the Asian classification, often mass disparities in income and health. And advocates argue having the detailed data will allow the information about the subgroups to be separated out in the process. So, to be able to make this helpful is to distinguish different kinds of discrimination and the ability to enforce laws around discrimination and do research on public health and economic outcomes. The changes to the standard were hammered out over 2 years by a group of federal statisticians who prefer to stay above the political fray, but the revisions have long term implications for legislative redistricting and civil rights laws, health statistics, and possibly even politics, as the number of people categorized as white is reduced. Donald Trump, the preemptive GOP nominee for president, recently alluded to arguments made by people who allege Democrats were promoting illegal immigration to weaken the power of white people, as President Trump unsuccessfully tried to disqualify people who were in the United States illegally from being included in the 2020 census. Yeah, I remember they cut the count off at a certain time ahead of the deadline. Yeah, I remember that. So, ladies and gentlemen, look like these changes are going to go into effect immediately. So it just goes into some of the history that the US government used to categorize race and ethnicity, saying in 1820 the category free colored people was added to the census to reflect the increase of free black people. In 1850, the term mulatto was added to the census to capture people of mixed heritage. American Indians were not explicitly counted in the census until 1860. Following years of immigration from China, Chinese was included in the 1870 census. There was not a formal question about Hispanics until 1980. So they weren't even on there until 1980. So, of course, they said not everybody is on board with these revisions. Some Afro Latinos feel that combining the race and ethnicity question will reduce their numbers and representation in the data. Though previously research by the U.S. Census Bureau did not find significant differences among Afro Latino responses when the questions were asked separately or together. So this person said their lineage is Black Puerto Rican, and they feel these changes will not be good for them. It will diminish their numbers. So y'all gonna have to let me know how you feel about this. I realize it's really not going to impact us. It really don't matter how the government sees us. One thing they're not going to do is be fair to us, regardless to how they have us categorized in this country. But please tell me what you think about these changes that they are all of a sudden doing now. Look at the timing of this, y'all. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.